And now we have a little surprise for you. It's not in the bulletin. To bring us that surprise, I'd like to welcome and introduce a wonderful artist and dear friend, Ted Hatton, who will make that special presentation.
Thank you, Eloise. It is truly a privilege and an honor to be standing here in front of you. What I have offering for you here today is something that will be easier to get your head around. In fact, you'll be able to get your hand around it. It's this bird that I'm holding in my hand, also a dove. And in a little bit, it's going to make its way around. Sort of think of it as an offering plate for those of you that are in that tradition where offering plates are passed. But rather than adding something to the dove is going to be adding something to you. But we have somebody who's going to be sort of she is one of the dove keepers. Naomi Guinn Johnson is going to be responsible, and she'll make sure that everybody here who wants to hold this dove will have the opportunity to do that. When you turn it over and you see on the bottom, you'll see that it says Chet's Dove, which should immediately bring a question to those of you who are new arrivals. Who is Chet and why does he have a dove? And there's also a question it ends with a question mark, so you can tell, but it's a rhetorical question, and I'll read that shortly and you'll have a sense of where it's coming from. But I want to tell you that the type of work that I practice and the type of work that you're about to experience is something that I call contemplative art. Contemplative art, as I understand it, is art that invites contemplative thought. So thinking and contemplation, and if you were on Drake's campus earlier this afternoon and you heard Brian McLaren, we didn't plan this, but we planned it. Maybe somebody else planned it, but somehow he had a lot to say about the importance of contemplation and how that is found in all of our faith traditions and in those who have no faith tradition whatsoever. But contemplation is really just thinking that's slowed down. Contemplative art is art that invites that sort of slow thought. And how this bird offers that in two ways. One, it has to do with the surface of the dove. You'll find that it's smooth. And smooth as an experience is something that, well, for example, if you take your most sensitive finger and you touch one of your fingernails, your fingernail is pretty smooth, but not moving, you won't feel smooth. In order to have that experience, one has to move the finger across the surface. Not too fast, not too slow. It slows down the experience and slows down the thinking. The other way that this dove is going to invite a contemplative experience is through story. And I'm going to read you a story. It's the story of this dove, it's the story of this park, and it's the story of a man named Chet Guinn. So here is a reflection on the creation of this dove and this place where we stand. How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? As an artist, I am drawn to found materials, whether it's a stray acorn or a loose branch. The pull from a stack of firewood is impossible for me to ignore, as if it's magnetic. I feel the thrill of what I might find before I'm even conscious of what I'm seeing. With firewood, the delight comes from many angles. First of all, the price is right. It's usually free, but I do always ask. And secondly, wood is simply a beautiful material to work with. It serves up endless variations on a theme. And finally, a single branch contains an uncountable number of stories. Layers inside of layers, circles sharing the same center. Some of those stories have to do with the natural history and the cultural context of the tree, the shape and character of the branch, not to mention the fire that it was meant for. Turn by turn, page after page, beauty lurks beneath the bark of every branch. Against its pull, I am powerless. It happened just a few weeks ago. I stopped by the home of a friend whose funeral I had just attended. The casseroles and jello salads were still being served at the church while I stood a few blocks away, gazing at the architecture of a fire station built in 1907, converted into a residence by peace activists and stalwart of the movement, Reverend Chet, Guinn, whose death prompted the parade of casseroles, this wood carving, and the reflection you're hearing now. The piece of cordwood that caught my eye was a Trinity branch. That's where one branch divides into three, each pointing in a different direction. From the end cut, it was obvious that this branch was oak, probably white oak, a tree common to the region and found frequently in the books Chet loved. Don Quixote resting in the shade of an oak tree, Jacob weeping for Deborah and Rachel under an oak tree, Abraham and Sarah welcoming three strangers at the Oaks of Mamre. Plus, much of the furniture in the interior timber of Fire Station Number 4 is made of quarter-sawn oak. The fact that this old firehouse comes with a fire pit fully stocked with firewood made me smile. I remember Chet savoring these micro-ironies in the same way. He had the most generous of smiles. Reverend Guinn, I don't know about you, but I never heard anybody call him that. Reverend Guinn was steeped in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. He was a disciple of William Sloane Coffin, Martin Luther King Jr., and Mahatma Gandhi. Chet was an archetypal activist and a perpetual thorn in the side of local politicians, a fixture in the front line of every march, every demonstration, and peace parade for decades, from Iowa to the nation's capital. When it needed it most, he was a pillar of Trinity Las Americas United Methodist Church, the justice-loving community whose basement was currently overcrowded with friends and family feasting on memories and stories of their newly minted saint. As a human being, Chet's spirit was determined and unflappable, solid like a firehouse or a church designed by the architectural firm Proudfoot and Bird. His commitment to peace ran as deep as the roots of a bur oak tree. The Des Moines Peace Garden, this place where we have gathered, sits on a prime piece of real estate in the heart of the city thanks to the dogged leadership of Chet Guinn. The stately white pine that towers over Fire Station Number 4 offered me shade in the late summer as I considered how to gain permission for taking the white oak Trinity branch with me back to my studio. Everyone connected to Chet was still in the church basement, so I asked the wind because that's where the answers are. And I took the silence from the white pine as consent and quietly slipped away, hot branch in my hand, plucked from a firehouse before the fire or the match could even be struck. From the moment I got into the branch, time-stamped photo 3 p.m. August 19, beauty insisted on making its presence known. The scent of oak is similar to Chardonnay, and I began to thirst. The outer bark of this old wineskin flaked off easily. The sapwood, lying just under the inner bark, is the color of cappuccino. Set off by the dark knots of the heartwood, 3 of them visible at once. The wood grain, particularly on the left side of the bird, flows stick straight for a time, and then it grows turbulent where the branches part, right here. Swirling eddies of contemplative chaos spread across what would become the bird's breast and beak. I went in looking for a dove, and it didn't take long for it to emerge, finding form in less than an hour. The sanding took longer. With a length of 6 inches, the common ground dove is the smallest member of the dove family, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, roughly the size of a plump sparrow. Native to all three Americas, North, Central, and South, the common ground dove spends most of its time on the ground, nesting on the floodplains, sleeping in the sand, foraging for a future. The bird's superb vision allows it to see for several miles in every direction, 340 degrees, ahead and behind, what has been and what is yet to be. Thanks to the global reach of Hebrew scripture, the dove is inextricably linked to peace, shalom, salam, wholeness. But the bird, bearing an olive branch in its beak, was unsuccessful on its first attempt to survey the damage. The earlier mission left her exhausted and overwhelmed by the enormity of the destruction. There was water in every direction, as far as the eye could see and further than a dove could fly. The world was a complete loss. From Genesis 8, Noah sent forth a dove to see if the waters had subsided. She flew in every direction, but found nowhere to rest her feet. When she returned, Noah held out his hand and brought her into the ark with him. The common ground dove that emerged from the white oak branch is like Noah's white dove before she found the olive branch. She's weary and ready to drop. Heavy laden with loss, she searches for a place to land. Up ahead and back behind. She's looking for a stretch of sand where she might sleep. Maybe an outstretched arm, or perhaps an open palm. Chet's dove, like all birds, is a gift, and this gift is given to you, the peace-loving people of Des Moines. Today, she begins a meandering migration among us, searching for a safe place to land. This bird will go from place to place, from hand to hand, wherever two or more are gathered in the name of peace. Chet's dove will be held collectively by MFSA, Methodist for Social Action, and the Des Moines Peace Committee, two groups that regularly roosted, organized at Firehouse Number 4. And she'll be kept safe by a small group of women called the Dove Keepers. In honor of her namesake, Chet's dove will do the same thing he did. Show up. In the coming months, years, as the protests grow more urgent, she may show up in someone's pocket, a talisman for peace from a Trinity branch that didn't burn. Or maybe the dove gets passed around like a wineskin, perhaps leading the Palm Sunday procession. Look for Chet's dove at this gathering, at the next demonstration, the next parade, the next meeting organizing for world peace, wherever the Spirit is likely to descend. Look for her because she will be looking for you, looking for a place to land, searching for hands that know wholeness, searching for common ground, flying to and fro, exhausted, spent. When you see her, hold out your hand, bring her in, give her a place to rest, and let her linger as long as she likes, waiting for the waters to recede and for the world to come round right. May it be so soon. Naomi, here's Naomi. She's going to